Military matters, and when the U.S. was thrown into chaos on 9/11, the President of the United States sought safe haven on Barksdale Air Force Base.
Two men on Barksdale remember that fateful day and how it shaped their professional lives.
Freedom itself was attacked this morning by a faceless coward.
Everlasting words brought on by indescribable tragedy.
It was a possibility that we could have been going to war.
I think at that point the entire nation was preparing for war.
At 8:50 a.m., President George W. Bush learned of a commercial plane hitting the North Tower. At 1 p.m., the commander-in-chief was on Barksdale Air Force Base addressing the nation.
The United States will hunt down and punish those responsible for these cowardly acts.
Charles Guillory remembers it all vividly.
I was in control of all the area, all the personnel, posted and everything for the security forces.
He was Sergeant Guillory then, heading up Air Force security forces. After the North Tower was struck, he went from aircraft to aircraft on base, making sure his MPs were briefed on what was unfolding. Minutes later,
I got a call on the radio to return back to our control center ASAP, as soon as possible. And they informed me that President Bush, Air Force One, would be here within 30 minutes, so you need to go out and set up security.
In a time of unprecedented uncertainty, Guillory began securing the flight line.
So we had to secure that aircraft to make sure that the president was secure here on Barksdale Air Force Base. It was eerie because when the aircraft came, when Air Force One was landing, his two escort fighter planes, they peeled off and it was just him landing by itself. So it was just a real strange feeling, you know.
He was 100 feet from the nose of the aircraft when Air Force One came to a stop.
When he landed, he saw his resources, he saw his protection.
Our military at home and around the world is on high alert status.
Colonel Joseph McKenna was 1,200 miles away at an NSA conference at Fort Meade in Maryland.
As we were evacuating the building, being told that we were potentially a target, you could see about half the building was evacuating quickly, and about half the people it seemed were running back upstairs.
McKenna was an Air Force engineer when the towers were struck. It changed the course of his life.
I knew that I had to make a change. I didn't want to be sitting in a cubicle, for lack of better terms, while the rest of my brothers and sisters in arms were fighting the war.
He's now the vice commander on Barksdale, having flown 35 different types of aircraft, many in combat. Colonel McKenna remembers hanging on to the president's words that day.
Nobody really fully understood what the next step was going to be, but we knew that there was going to be a next step, and that we knew that the full resources of the United States were going to be devoted to that.
It was at this very podium, standing on this very carpet, that President Bush delivered a message to the country. It was a brief message, but poignant. It's a message that Mr. Guillory says was vital.
It was what we needed at the time. I know it was short. It was definitely what we needed at the time.
Guillory says Barksdale was ready for whatever order came next.
It was over 30 aircraft on the taxiway, on the tarmac, sitting there fully uploaded, ready to go if needed.
We have taken the necessary security precautions to continue the functions of your government.
In the days after the attack, McKenna feels the Barksdale community changed as a whole.
To see a long-range strike force be transformed into a force that could support counterterrorism mission was certainly a big change for the Barksdale community.
Pretty blessed to have been there to be able to take care of him and the country at that time.
But make no mistake, we will show the world that we will pass this test. God bless.
Well, Colonel McKenna is a New York native, and he says he was able to go back to Manhattan about a month after the attacks. He says it was still very much a smoldering crime scene. He's thankful, though, that his family was nowhere near the towers on that day.